All right. Welcome to Awakening Women Collective Podcast, a space for conscious, courageous, impact-driven women who are ready to break free from fear, overwhelm, and self-doubt to reclaim their power, their voice, and their confidence, and to step into their most audacious self, creating an extraordinary life and impact. And I am your host, Dr. Helena Rombi. I am a former psychotherapist and now a woman's empowerment and transformational coach and healer. So, in this transformative episode, I'm so thrilled to welcome Brieanna, who she's like one of my favorite people. She has courageously rewritten the script of her life in a powerful and inspiring way. And today, Brieanna is going to share her journey of courage, choosing to forge a path for herself rather than conforming to expectations and playing it safe. Sounds about right? Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, I love it.
So Brianna has gone from redefining family dynamics, leaving a big law firm, embracing a more aligned work-life balance. She'll tell us more about that, creating financial freedom, traveling solo to Paris, stepping into her deepest calling to become a coach. Brianna is an amazing woman. So before we dive into today's conversation, Brianna, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself to my listeners. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and why you're on my podcast.
Oh, thanks. I'm thrilled to be here. Um, yeah, wow. She sounds amazing. I'm
Doesn't
thrilled
it though?
yeah, she sounds great. And I thank you for the beautiful introduction. Let's see. I am a woman. I'm in the last day of my 40s today, which is in my year of 40. I turn 41 tomorrow. A mom, a wife, a partner, a parent, a daughter, a really good friend. I practice law. And yeah, I'm just trying to lean into who I want to be in the world and how I want to show up to my people. And so I'm thrilled to be on the podcast. You asked me, so I said yes, because that's my ethos. And I think my mission in life is to know and be known and to have my insides match my outsides. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so honored to call you friend and coach and counselor. And so, yeah, it's my pleasure. Happy to be
All right. So,
here.
is it okay if I share this bit?
Sure.
Brianna is somebody that I've known for quite a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but I'll let her share this bit herself. So, Brianna, you made some really bold, courageous choices in your life, right? And so let's start this conversation with that conversation you had with your family. Remember that one Thanksgiving many, many years ago?
The one I said I would never have.
The one you
Yeah,
said you never had, you would never had. What inspired you to rewrite your script that way?
it's a great question. It's probably the one of the most proud moments of my life. I think, it was precipitated by having my daughter, and she's been a real catalyst for healing, or she was an initial catalyst for healing for me, and I hopefully have released her from that job now. But yeah, having a daughter really changed my perspective on my life and how I wanted to show up to it, how I wanted to be a mother and a parent and a partner, with my husband, having this daughter together. And it really made me evaluate my relationship with my family of origin. And that's where your and my work together, I think that may not have been the reason we initially met, or it was that I wanted to be a wonderful mother and the mother I expected to be in the world, but quickly turned to really needing some healing with my family of origin. And so, when we started working together, you kind of asked your beautiful questions of like, would it ever be possible to say these things out loud, of hurt and misunderstanding and years, honestly decades of not talking about certain secrets and shame in my family of origin. And I remember just flat out being like, that conversation will never happen. There's no world or time or space where that conversation could happen, which I should have known better. I didn't know
You
you well
didn't know
enough to
better.
know to throw a gauntlet down.
Yeah.
So, like 6 months later, 7 months later, that conversation was happening. And if I didn't live it, I don't know that I would have believed it to be true. So yeah, I really didn't believe it was possible. And so I think the first step in this journey of healing has been just opening myself to what's possible for my life and for what's actually might be able to happen in my own healing and the healing of those people that I love.
Yeah.
So that was incredible, honestly. It was an honest conversation. I'm the baby of six children. There was something that happened in my family of origin that we, as a family of eight parents and six kids, had never spoken about. And
Yeah.
it happened when I was 13, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I had that conversation in my 30s finally. And I'm so proud of it. And honestly, Helen, I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, that was pretty bold. I do remember you calling me on Thanksgiving. I'm freaking out. And then we kind of just had to kind of like bring down the anxiety. But in
Yeah,
my opinion, that's like one of the most courageous thing a person can do. Like you're
yeah,
the baby of the family and you're speaking to the whole family and
yeah,
saying, okay, we need to rewrite this paradigm of secret keeping,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I was no longer willing to kind of be complicit in the
Yeah.
secrets. I wasn't about to perpetuate that to the next generation, which I now had in my own family. And I was unwilling to kind of tolerate that for my own family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, how did that conversation change the ecology of the family? Like, what changed in the family dynamic as a result of having that conversation? So, two questions: the family dynamics, and how did you change as a result of that? So, it's a two-pronged question.
Well, it's fascinating. I mean, even leading up to that conversation, my parents, I asked them if they'd be willing to have this conversation, and they said only if another member of my family was willing, and if he was not, they would not be there. So it took me speaking to every individual in my family leading up to that to get buy-in, just to have this conversation in the same room, which people were amazing and they're open-minded to it. And that actually was like the pre-work, if you will, of like priming everyone for what the conversation was meant to be about, but also one of the most real conversations I had with my siblings up to that point. My one brother, I got off the phone with him. I was like, I think this is the most honest conversation we've ever had in our life. This was the one leading up to the Thanksgiving conversation. And he told me later that made him really sad that we had gone this long in our lives and not had such an honest conversation. So even the priming for that
Yeah.
began kind of new relationships or new dynamics in old relationships. And so then what flowed from this conversation, I shared my piece and kind of said what was wounding for me and where brokenness kind of was and where I felt alone and unheard and misunderstood. That actually just cracked open a big old thing of everyone feeling like they finally had permission to kind of speak up
Mm.
in ways that they were wronged, but also where they wronged some others in our family and just took ownership, apologized,
Mm.
grieved. It was so beautiful. My husband said it was the most beautiful experience he's ever had with my family
Mm.
because that's been a somewhat fraught kind of relationship for him. And he thought that was so brave of me, but he was also so honored to be in a space where we finally were so real with one another. And so, what came out of that with the ecosystem or ecology of your family is that there is actually more honesty.
Yeah.
I would be remiss to say it's perfect. It's not. Like, we still have our bumps and bruises and imperfections, but
Yeah.
out of that came this kind of commitment to more honest sharing. And so, out of that, like every vacation we had, at least for like the next 2, 3, or 4 years, we had a family conversation, a check in, kind of like what's going on, what's honestly going on. And there were some real honest shares that had nothing at this point to do with me or the story I had initiated it with.
Mm.
I would say we've gotten away from that a little bit, but I honestly think it did change the dance that we all have together and created, safety that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And I think that's an ongoing process and the dynamic continues to shift,
Yeah.
but there is a lot more understanding of who I am to the
Yeah.
point of your second question
Right.
in our family. And I feel more and more grounded in who I am in my family. Although, let's be honest, like every time you go back into your family of origin, you slip into these
Yeah.
like the gravitational pull of birth order, gender, who listens to who gossips about who. So those dynamics are still there, but I feel a bit more seen, a bit more understood, um, a bit more myself, and
Yeah.
actually a little more secure in myself. Like I leave every time a little bit more like, ah. I showed up in who I want to be in this world today.
Yeah.
And if it didn't go well or it did go well, like I can only control so much of that. There's a lot of humans in my family.
Yeah.
So I think people know where I stand now and
Yeah.
who I am now more than they ever have. So it feels like integration is happening. I wouldn't say it's fully happened, but I
Yeah.
think this was a huge kind of like leap forward in growth and maturity in, the
Yeah.
ecosystem of my family.
Yeah, absolutely. And you accomplished the goal of being seen a little bit, right? You feel a little
Yeah,
bit more
for
seen in
sure.
the family,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
And
my experience of my family is not my siblings' experience of my family. So it's given me more
right.
compassion for them as well.
Yeah.
And their experience of the same kind of facts and circumstances, they were different. Those
Yeah.
experiences were different for me and for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so if somebody is wanting to have a courageous conversation with their family of origin, um, what would you say in terms of who do they need to become? Let's use the language that we talk about all the time. Who do they need to
Hmm.
become? Or what's the new story they need to tell about who they are in order to be able to have this conversation? Just a little bit. Just give us that.
It's a great question. My first instinct is like proceed with caution because whatever you expect will likely not happen. And you have to hold, I hate this truth, but you have to hold the discomfort and the anxiety that it won't go well, it won't be received. You're trying to change something, people resist change. And so there has been a lot of rejection along the way too. So it's holding that. And so I think the person you want to be or become or hold in that space is like, and the story is like, I can trust myself. I am safe in my body. No matter what happens, I can find my grounding and my footing again, and how whatever reaction comes to me, that is not mine. And I can handle it. And
Mm.
I think that,
That is like that right there is so beautiful, right? I am safe in my body. I can handle it, right? And some of the stuff that's coming at me, a lot of it
yeah.
is it's just not mine. Ooh,
And it's not about me,
it's not
right? I
about yeah,
mean, but I think it helps to have an ally like you,
yeah,
Helen, or a friend or someone who is just slightly outside of it to
right,
remind you. You need a mirror of that thing that you will forget when you're in the moment because you're
yeah,
like, maybe I am the crazy one. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm not a victim of this situation. And you need someone to level set with you of like, of course we co-create some of these situations. Of course we're contributors. You are not crazy, you are not wrong, you are safe, you are, all of this experience is true for you too.
yeah,
So to have an ally, I think, had I not had you, I think it would have been a lot more volatile for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and again, that's another interesting point, right? We cannot become ourselves by ourselves. We need
no,
others to
yeah,
mirror us, to amplify us, to let us know what's possible. I mean,
yeah,
like you blew my mind. I mean, I knew that was possible, but you blew my mind by just going and having that conversation.
yeah. I think lots of minds were blown with that one. I'm so proud of it. I'm still really proud of it. When I tell people in just like family, like in anecdotes with other people, they're like, I could never do that. And I'm like, I said the same thing. And the amazing thing is, like, you can.
You can.
You can. And if you know it in your body that you need to, I would say trust that. But also, sometimes the timing, there are other factors at play. So be like, really trust your intuition on it and those that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So,
Mm, beautiful. So
yeah.
I know we could talk about this forever. But
Mm-hmm.
I want my listeners to hear some more amazing stories about you because you're a woman who rewritten your script in so many different areas. So, how about we move into career? So, you
Sure.
left a prestigious law firm to join a
Mm-hmm.
private company, choosing to work part-time at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's probably
Mm-hmm.
changed, but what inspired you to make that move?
Um, that one felt scary. I knew I wasn't long for the law firm life in some ways as an attorney, and everyone I looked up who was above me was not. They were not folks I was really aspiring to be.
Yeah.
And so when I had this opportunity, excuse me, I think there were different ways to look at it, but I viewed it just as another stepping stone and just where we were in our lives. And I was a new mom. It felt like it gave me more space to kind of pick my head up, still learn a lot, still practice law because I had worked so hard to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
And also create margin in my life for kind of those things that were starting to feel like law was never going to satisfy. So
Yeah.
it just kind of felt like the right move. And it came to me through my law firm. So it felt kind of like, sometimes you're just in the right place at the right
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
it's luck and it's work. Like I worked really hard to be in that position to get that opportunity. And also my reputation kind of preceded me. And there were a lot of doors that opened for me pretty quickly. So, and it was a position that was kind of created for me in
Yeah.
some ways. So it felt like that was the next right step. And I felt like I could step into it. And I asked hard questions when I did it. And I feel like I've asked kind of some hard questions while I've been in this role and I still work here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's one thing though. There was a way you listened to yourself because there's a lot of people, um, that opportunity could have come maybe to anybody, but you were listening to yourself. You're a woman who, one of the things you say about yourself is like, I want to live in alliance with my own values. So, but you were listening to yourself and then you took advantage of the opportunity that presented itself. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a brave step to to take any change, right? Because
Right.
the path of least resistance is not changing, right? Because it's
Yeah,
safer. Kind of the situation you're in, the devil is often better than the devil you don't, right? So there's
exactly.
risk involved there. And I guess I kind of just felt it. Like I just knew that was like the next right thing for me.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like I was burning any bridges. So maybe it was a more conservative kind of like nothing was going to be harmed by trying. But also, yeah, it was brave to try to go out, and it was a newer company, and there were risks there too. So yeah,
Mm. Yeah. And again, what I love about you is there's such an integrity about you. You are a woman who lives by your values. And just like the title of this podcast, you do the hard thing.
you help. Thank
Yeah, I'll
you.
sit on this side and I help, but you're the one who goes out and does the hard thing, right?
I didn't think it was an option, Helen. When you give me homework, I feel like I'm required to complete it. So I didn't know there were alternatives.
I love that. You know what? I don't think I'll stop. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me that when I give clients homework, I'm not going to tell them that there's an option. I'm just going to tell them, just
No.
go do it.
When I was told it was homework, you like did it or there were consequences. So I just never really thought there was an alternative. So
Yeah.
this is your fault. I'm so
Okay.
brave.
All right. All right. So kind of like we're making light of it, but you're a woman, you broke the mold. Like you just went your own way. Like, is that something, well, let's not go there. But you're a woman who decided, because the expectation is like you work really hard and you got into this amazing law firm. You stay in there. So what is
Mm.
the story you told about who you are that allowed you to step outside of the expectations? Because yeah, let me ask that question instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I think some point as you're doing all of these things that everyone tells you should do, like even becoming a lawyer was kind of not my original idea, right? And so there are these paths I have kind of traveled down because people are like, oh, you're good at this, or you're good at this, you should
Yeah,
try this. Oh,
yeah,
you did really well in this class or in this course, you should pursue this, right? And so I believed them for a really long time. I almost married the wrong guy because of that kind of stuff, right? I almost lived in the wrong place. Who knows? Maybe.
yeah.
Um, but at some point you have to like take ownership that you're the lead of your own movie, right? Like I am the leading lady to
You are
my
the
own
leading
film.
lady.
I am not the supporting actress to someone else's. I may be that as well, and
Yeah,
I'm flattered to be in those little films as well. But the film that's like on the marquee is my life.
yeah,
And at some point I had to take ownership of that.
yeah.
And so all of a sudden you get to write the rule book then too, right? Which is terrifying because it's a blank book.
Yes.
And instead of kind of adopting everyone else's rule book, you really do have to like look in the mirror and reflect and have some true honesty about what it is you're doing on this earth and how you're going to live it. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's up to me for who I want to be in this world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a
No,
little countercultural and I
right.
like it.
Yeah, and you
Excuse
made
me.
a really good point, right? One of the reasons why people don't want to rewrite the script is like it's a blank page and you're the author, and that's terrifying. And so, how did you source the courage?
I mean, this is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And I think our work together has been so transformative, formative and transformative in the sense of really beginning to believe that I have what I need inside of me.
Yeah.
And I have surrounded myself with people that really reflect back my light and my love. And so I follow that, right? I follow this knowing, right?
Yeah.
I believe I have the feminine divine in me. I believe that actually the universe is conspiring for my good. I finally believe these things, right? And if that is true, then I can trust when this knowing is kind of like, no, you should lean in here. You should ask another question. You should show up to that thing. You should show up for your friends, even when it's hard and annoying and you don't have time. These are the things that matter. And you should
Mm.
keep showing up to meeting with Helen because honestly, my life has never been more beautiful.
Mm.
And I credit you with just keeping me honest. You are my mirror, one of them.
Mm.
So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Mm. Yeah, I had a point, but it kind of I wanted to reflect back because you usually say so many beautiful things, but since I didn't write that question down or the answer down, so we're just gonna let that slide, and then if it comes back, I'll reflect to you. Okay?
That's fine. Sure.
So let's move on to another area where you wrote your script. You know the one I'm talking about, the financial one.
Mm,
Yeah. So tell us about that because again, that's pretty audacious. That is
yes.
pretty audacious, right? So
Sure.
what precipitated that?
So you're referring to my pursuit with my husband of financial freedom, effectively, or
Yeah.
financial independence.
Yeah.
And there is a
Mhm.
movement that we've kind of begun following. We are not the, in any way, originators of this idea, but effectively, you save as much as you possibly can, progressively pay off debt to give yourself financial freedom. And effectively, it's giving yourself choice, right? Of if you're in a toxic job, could you quit and financially survive? If you wanted to pivot careers, if you don't want to work, and so it was really born out of, my husband's discontent, honestly,
Mhm.
with he's also an attorney, and really thinking about the traditional kind of American lifestyle of you work for 30 to 40 years and you retire and you move to Florida. That was not a compelling, in any way, compelling lifestyle for him. And he
Mhm.
ended up doing some research and finding a lot of information about this,
Yeah.
kind of subculture. And I think what it's really born out of is we lived abroad for 2 years, we traveled for 3 months, and there's part of us that are very restless and have like just immense curiosity for novelty and travel and delight and wonder.
Yeah.
And so the pendulum swung after we lived abroad and moved back to the States and went to law school and became much more corporate, where you're like, how could we integrate that more into our lives? And we love to travel now, but how can we actually integrate that level of independence we once had,
Mhm.
um, and still be adults in the world, right? So I think our pursuit of financial freedom has been in pursuit of that,
Yeah.
right? In the sense of why can't we tell our money where to go
Yeah.
instead of asking where it went?
Yeah.
Why can't we write the script for our lives and dictate when we work and how we work
Yeah.
and for how long?
Yeah.
And so we really kind of pushed back against the traditional expectations that we would work till we're 65 and retire and buy a home at the beach or something, which that's one alternative
That's
to
one
this life.
alternative. Yeah.
But that one was not what was compelling. And I think for my husband and I, we really needed our why, right? We've been really great at goal setting and being on the same page for the big things. And once we began working more traditional jobs, it was like, why are we doing this and to what end?
Yeah.
And so this really gave us an outlet to set like really aggressive, audacious goals and actually meet them. So going to
Mhm.
work did have purpose. Not that our work doesn't have purpose,
Yeah.
but like at the end of the day, being attorneys didn't end up lighting us up. And I think we had hoped maybe it would, but that's just not how it played out for us.
Yeah.
And we've found meaningful work in there, in the edges and in the cracks.
Yeah.
But there's so much to try and experiment with out in this world. And so this idea that we could maybe unshackle ourselves from the 40-hour work week and turn toward things that we're really excited about, for little seasons
Yeah.
feels really compelling. So my husband is retired from being an attorney. I work and, still make money and do some saving, but we aggressively paid off our debt in 5 years from law school, which was 6 figures of debt. We have aggressively saved and have enough money, if I were to lose my job, to be fine for years to come. I don't think we're full retirement yet, but I think we are definitely on track to do that in the next few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And so for somebody who's listening, they might be thinking, well, they're lawyers, so they can do it.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to somebody like that?
It's fascinating, and that's the first, not it's not always the first response we get, but it's one of the first.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, you're right, we are lawyers. However, my husband worked as a city attorney and made less money than a school teacher made, so in some ways not all lawyers make all the money.
Yeah.
I do make a very nice wage.
Yeah.
However, the people that started this movement, none of them were lawyers. They were software engineers. They were college grads that were frugal. They lived in lower cost of living areas, or they saved aggressively. They didn't take on much debt. They didn't buy a boat or a shore house or a cabin. There is intentional ways to save.
Yeah.
And live with intention. If you don't care what car you drive a 1998 Honda Accord. And if you love nice clothes, like get a great sweater, right? Like there are ways to kind of maximize and optimize your life for the life you actually want to live. And I think what the point of this whole movement is to actually just live with intention. If you love your job, there are still reasons to pursue financial freedom because it allows you to be really honest about the life you want to live and not just follow what everybody else is telling you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
it is possible. It might be harder.
yeah.
Making more money makes this easier,
Yeah.
but it is not impossible.
Yeah.
So,
And now, if you're listening, you can kind of tell why I wanted Brianna on the show, right? She is somebody who she's chosen one, the life that she does want to live, so that blank page. And she's been writing on that page. She's had the courage to do really, really, really hard things. And for that, I just want to applaud you. You,
thanks.
you show women and men what's actually possible. Because sometimes you need to see what's possible for you to be able to aim towards it. And Brianna, you are what's possible.
I am. And that's 10 years ago. Like I do these meditations we talk about, Helen, and one's like, can you take a look at your life about what you only could have dreamed of? And now you have. And like, so having some perspective, like I think we can always do that, right? But yes, we set very audacious goals. And now we're in the space of like actually meeting them. And you're kind of baffled to think like, well, I'm so process oriented. It's like, what's our next big goal? And you're like, you can't even appreciate it when you get there. But like,
Mhm. Hang on. You are frozen. So just give me 1 second. All right. So we had a bit of a technical glitch
hi.
and we are back. So so you were kind of telling us about your financial journey. So one of the things that I wanted to know was like when you reached that milestone, because you've retired your husband, right? What was that?
Yeah, I guess I have. Not retired him from me, just from work.
Oh yeah, they're
Put him
still
out to
married, sorry. They're
pasture.
still married.
Yeah. He's not been put in a closet somewhere. He's definitely working his butt off, but no. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, the first year, he's like almost 2 years into not working as an attorney. The first year, I kind of always knew it'd be hard, right? He's like transitioning a lot of identity stuff and like, where is his place in the world and what brings him meaning? And we have two children, so it's like it's not just to be, Mr. Dad. But now I think he has like done some work and settled into our new dynamic. I would say we had to renegotiate kind of like our marriage
Yeah.
agreements and who does what and when.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see him kind of coming back to life, which was always the point. I get the question often of like, well, don't you resent that he gets to stay home and you work? And I was like, did people ask that of men, of their wives
Right,
for 50
right.
years? It's a fair amount of sexism when it's like people have a really hard time that he retired and I didn't. And it's often like if I had stepped back and he hadn't, those comments wouldn't have been made, which is frustrating to me, but it's the world we live in.
But you're changing the rules, right? You've changed the
Yeah.
rules of how things are done.
Sure. And also like this is just an experiment for us, right? It's like I think the finality of it, and it may be final. Like I don't know that he'll ever practice law again, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
But this idea that like life is just a bunch of little experiments, and this is something we're trying right now. And just because he's not working in a job doesn't mean he's not doing a lot of work for our family, for our children, for me, for our home. And why can't we just like create space for that in our lives and allow for that and allow for people to do that in our lives and have some more flexibility around that? So yeah, we're changing the rules even with some of our friends, and our friend group has changed a little bit because of it, because some people
Mhm.
are uncomfortable with it,
Yeah.
which blows my mind and makes me really sad.
Yeah.
And also for the people that are so excited for us, I receive them even more genuinely now because I feel seen and cared for and accepted, even sometimes when they don't get it.
Yeah.
And so I think it has kind of filtered some people, some experiences, our life a little bit. But yes, we have more space. Our life is more sustainable. I don't know, the quality has gone up, but it was bumpy there for a
Yeah.
while too. Like there was transition, and I think we knew to expect it and didn't know how long it was going to last. And I'm still so proud that we did it.
Yeah. And you brought up a point. Your decision to change the rules, the people that don't get it or are not happy, I wonder if it's because you're challenging it, like what you did challenge to them.
Oh, to go back to our previous point, like a lot of this is nothing to do with us.
Exactly.
There's just discomfort around it. I had two friends from the Midwest saying things effectively like, well, he's a capable person who could be working, so he should be working in a utilitarian kind of productivity way. And you're like, maybe, but maybe he could be working in our home. Maybe he's caring for our children. There's a lot of work. And this is just like a shout out to all working and like stay at home parents. That is a lot of work that's just unappreciated. And they are working parents as well, right? So it is challenging some assumptions. It's challenging expectations of what men and women do and how we show up in the world as like fairly young professional people, right?
Right.
It's also, he worked so hard to go and get this professional degree and now he's not using it. And I'm like, he used it for a decade and it's always informing how he shows up in the world. So I disagree with that as well. And
Yeah.
who knows how he'll use it in the future. I think nothing is wasted. He might be a professor someday, right? He might do a podcast. Everything he does, I think, has purpose.
Yeah.
And if this helps me bring my husband back to life a little bit, I would do this 10 times over to support the person that I love in some ways most in the world, to see him like light up again. That's hands down, I would happily do it again.
Mm. And so who is the person you've become as a result of this process, this financial freedom process? Who is the woman you've become?
I think she continues to show herself. I think I have had to be more grounded in this choice because it's a much more outward facing decision
Right.
that is more countercultural.
Right.
I think I've become less apologetic,
There you go. There you go.
which I love the people pleasing and the apologizing for existing, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, no, we're not saying sorry anymore. I don't let women tell me they're sorry anymore. Like, if they take up space, like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So, and I apologize less for him. I explain less about him. Like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Get on board or get out of the way. I have less time for that noise
Yeah.
than I ever have had. And I feel like I have a lot of space for people, but in some ways it's like this is the season we're in and we're excited about it and we're going to see where it goes. And I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. There's a lot of uncertainty and
Right, but
that's
that's
okay.
that's what happens when you're writing your own rules, right? You don't exactly always know. There's this level of
Yeah.
trust that
And I don't know if it's going to work.
there
I
you
don't know
go.
if he's going to thrive. I don't know if he's going to be happy, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're taking it one step at a time, but you're trusting yourself to write your own story.
And we did this together. This was always our choice. This was my idea for him to retire a bit earlier than me. And people come back, oh, don't you resent it? I'm like, yeah, 10% of the times I resent it because I'm a human.
Yeah.
He gets to take a nap in the middle of the day. I rarely get to do that, right? Sure, I'm normal. But
Yeah.
for the most part, this was a choice we made very intentionally years ago
Yeah.
for our life, for the life we want to live, for the people we want to be to our children and our friends and our families. So, no, I don't resent.
Mm. Well, little did your younger self, your 6 years old who loved the word audacious, little did she know that that was the seed right there.
Yeah. I didn't even know what audacious meant. I just loved it. I
And now
just
you're
loved it.
being it.
I
You've
still do.
embodied.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. All right. All right. Okay. So let's keep going. So there's this other one. This is like one of my favorite stories about you. Tell us about Paris.
Ah,
That
take me
was,
back.
oh, that was juicy.
This is the juiciest. This is one of those like so proud moments. Um, yeah, post COVID, you and I were talking, and I think just to back up the story a bit, there are these moments in my life when I observe other people where I go, man, I wish I was the type of person that would do that thing.
Yeah.
And then there's the moment when you realize you're looking around, being like, why am I not that
That
person?
person.
There is no reason I can't be that person. And the moment I kind of stumbled upon that, it was like, oh, the world is now unlocked. I now have permission to do what it is, be the person I want to be. And so, coming out of COVID, I believe at the end of,
What was it?
sheesh, what was that? End of 2021, going into 2022.
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it April 2022 that you
Yeah,
passed?
but I think like January, you go like, hey, your birthday is in April.
What do you
You know,
want?
what if you could magic wand it? What would you do? And without a beat, I was like, Paris by myself for a week for my birthday. And you're like, great, let's plan it. And I was just like, again, that will never happen. And then you have to be all like, sure, it can, let's do it.
Let's do
And
it. Yeah.
it included missing my daughter's birthday, which she
So
continues to remind me.
as a mother, what would you say to other mothers who chose themselves?
So one thing I have read, which bring myself back to, is the life you're living one that you would wish for your daughter? Are you modeling the life you could only dream for your daughter? Because you know who she's going to aspire to be like? You.
Yeah.
And you know what she's going to have permission to do? The things you give yourself permission to do. My daughter thinks she should like be going to karaoke and concerts and Paris and other crazy places because I show her she's allowed to. She asks for what she wants on her birthday. She gets what she wants on her birthday.
Right.
Like her outside thoughts were all of my inner thoughts for so long.
Mm.
So yes, is this a life you would envision for your friends, for your daughters, for your sisters, for the people that you love? And if not, what the heck are you doing? Because we are not meant to just sacrifice ourselves for those around us, because that is not modeling the behavior we would ever want them to embody.
We're never meant to play small.
No. And you have permission from me. She is fine. She is great. She's so proud of me that I went, and she's jealous, and she should be. I was like,
Okay.
don't worry, we'll go to Paris together someday.
Yeah.
And I
So
saved some things for her.
all right, so let's not let this all be roses and butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
We have to have some hard conversations, right? So
Oh,
tell the
yeah.
inner angst, like let people know the real, like be real
Oh,
here.
it was so hard. It was a huge decision. And it was like, I had to go to my husband and say, I want to go to Paris for my birthday. And he goes, great. When are we going? I said, you're not going. He's like, oh. So I had to exclude him. I had to ask for help. He had to watch my kids with my in laws, right? He had to cover the birthday, which I had to relinquish trust to let him handle my kid's birthday, which that's kind of hard for me. When I finally got to the airplane, I almost had a panic attack and didn't get on the airplane. And the other part of me was like, you're walking your ass onto this airplane and you're going to sit down and put your seatbelt on and it's going to happen. And I did. So, yeah. And everybody I know double took when I said what I did. People I worked with still bring it up. Men I work with tell me not to talk to their wives. Like, don't
Oh,
give them this idea. I'm
yeah.
like, I will go directly to your wife now. My parents still don't totally understand why I had to do it.
Right. And you know what? I love that you shared both perspective, right? Because I want people to see the real thing. It's not always easy.
No, and you do all the what ifs. Like, what if I actually do die on
Yeah.
this airplane
Yeah.
and my kids hate me for leaving to do something for myself?
Yeah.
What if something bad happens?
Yeah.
I don't know. What if? Like, yes, maybe. And here I still am. So, yes, there is risk, but like, I know that that is one of the most beautiful choices I made for myself. And
Yeah.
I think it literally gave people in my life permission to do the same. I know at least two, three other mothers that have taken trips because, or at least as a, like, they received a bit of more permission because I did this for myself.
Yeah. So what would you tell a woman? Maybe that she's not going to go to Paris, but what would you tell a woman who is struggling to make that decision or doesn't even know that that's an option? What would you tell her?
I get it. I was that woman. I didn't even believe anything like that was possible. And also, I was waiting for someone else to do it for me. The greatest gift my husband could give me, I told him a decade ago, was to plan a trip and take me away. And I finally realized I could do that for myself. And he's a wonderful, loving, thoughtful man. As a mother, it's you're always going to hold the tension of guilt and selfishness and all the yucky feelings, and you just have to get comfortable with it because it doesn't actually matter what you do, you're always going to feel that way, whether you're in your little town or where you live in your city or whatever. There's always going to be that tension, so you might as well embrace it and face it and understand that your kids are observing how you hold that
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah.
And that's actually a beautiful lesson, to think that you can hold them and hold yourself.
Yeah. Well, there seems to be a theme in a lot of the things that you're saying, right? You did hard things, but your ability to tolerate discomfort is what's allowing you to do the hard thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really challenging,
Yeah.
and it helps to face it and to recognize, like, it might not work out every time. It hasn't worked out every time. Being brave doesn't always yield like a high five or a raise or a friendship being redeemed. Sometimes the friendship ends, sometimes you lose your job, sometimes the person says no,
Yeah.
and it sucks so much. But I think I have realized I'd rather go for it and figure it out and have the full picture than to live in a grayscale of the life I don't want to live.
Mm, right there. That was the first episode. I'd rather be
Mm.
fully alive than play it safe.
I
Yeah.
want to live in color. And
Yeah.
there's lots of colors.
There's a
Sometimes
lot of
it's poo
color.
brown and it's not pretty. And sometimes it is the most vibrant color you didn't even know existed. And that is why we do it all. You hold it all because the yucky makes the yum
I
so
like
much
that.
richer.
I love that. All
So,
right.
yeah.
So the yucky makes the yum. So what is your next Paris? That's not a question I prepped you for, but
Oh, man.
what's your next Paris? Like what's your next audacious journey?
Oh, Helen, there's so many things I want in this world and in this life. Um, there are some trips on the horizon that are with people, like traveling with friends, I think is the next audacious thing. Like, I was recently at a conference where like traveling with friends once a year is like something so good for your mental health. So I think that's definitely, like, I want more of that in my life. But the juiciest thing, I don't know. I want to take myself on a trip again, I guess. It's
Woo!
time. Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So you're gonna do it, right?
Course. Like, this is nothing now. Come
This is
on. No,
nothing.
that's not true. Every
Yeah.
time it's hard, but it's every time it's a little less hard, even though it's hard.
Yeah. All right. So we're almost coming to the end of our episode. So I kind of want to kind of just bring it down to purpose and spirituality.
Sure.
You, in one of the programs that we did, you stepped into a new role of being a coach. Speak to us a little bit about that. Like, what inspired you to step into those shoes?
Hmm. So I think I'm going to have many roles in this life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm I was a teacher. I'm a parent. I'm a lawyer right now. I've been a pro bono attorney. And I think what I started to notice a few years ago is that whatever roles I'm in, at some point people come to me
Right.
and I use my noticing skills or I use my communication skills or I use facilitation to help people know themselves just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So as you kind of moved from therapy to coaching, from archaeology to architecture, as you kind of name it,
Mhm.
that really resonated with me in this idea of like, when I started noticing, I realized that I'm doing so much of this in my life as it is. And, the question of like, if you didn't get paid to do your job, would you still do it? And me, like, hard pass on being a lawyer.
Mhm.
But on coaching and on being an ally and a mirror and an amplifier for people, for women especially,
Mhm.
hands down, hell's yeah. Like all the time. I will never stop doing this work.
Yeah.
And so that feels like something really juicy that I want to lean into. So I've begun kind of group facilitation groups, like women's circles, and like they have just yielded such beautiful, organic relationships and conversations that otherwise wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And so kind of view that as responsibility and opportunity to
Yeah.
lean into. So it's
Yeah.
still like young and fresh and it's a seed, but it's a seed that really looks like it's going to yield beautiful growth.
Mm. I love that you said that. That's precisely first when I first became a therapist. I'm the kind of person that everybody talked to, right?
Yeah.
So I might as well get paid for it. So I love that point for you. Do you feel like in this trajectory, at this point in your life, do you feel like that could be your soul's deepest yearning, your deepest calling?
I think it's a good question. Honestly, my soul's deepest yearning is just like to keep leaning into what my soul deeply calls me to do next. And so for now, it's like be a great friend. Be like as good of a mother as you can be. Like be joyful, seek fun and wonder, right? And let other people join you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it might be coaching or facilitation. I want to write a book at some point. I want to like financially coach people. I want to start a podcast. We're working on a podcast with families who are pursuing this financial freedom. So yes, and yes.
So the point you're making is like the roles will change, but ultimately, what is it ultimately about?
I think it's ultimately allowing myself to blossom and thrive into the full, flourishing, magnificent woman I was put on this earth to be. And
Boom.
as the world and the divine continues to show me it, it's continuing to say yes.
Yeah.
And
You're,
that's scary and
yeah.
delightful.
No, I like that. You're a woman who has made the commitment to embody her highest potential, to
Yeah.
become her entelechy. That's you.
Amen.
Amen, right? So,
Bring it on. I'm
bring it on.
scared.
Bring it on. That's one thing we have in common, right? If it terrifies you, that's where you're going.
Growth edge.
Growth
That's where
edge.
we're at.
That's where
Always. It's
you're at.
very uncomfortable. But when it works so well you couldn't have done otherwise.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
beautiful. It's a
I love
it's
it.
a delightful, scary journey.
Mm. So, Brianna, what is, if you could say anything, what do you want to say to our listeners as we close?
I think this idea that you're going to arrive at some destination where things are suddenly easy, or you will arrive and there won't be the work to do anymore. I think growing a little older, I realized there will always be the work, and you kind of just have to choose the hard and choose the work you want to do. So why not do the work that's good? Why not do your work, right? In this world and on yourself and on your healing and on your transformation, because it makes the rest of the world so much more beautiful. It gives you so much compassion for others. It gives you so much internal motivation to show up in the world in the way you're truly put on here to be.
Mm.
And it might actually change the world. Because if I'm in my divine transformative self and you are too, then the world looks like a lot more of a hopeful place. And I'd just love to give permission to those women, especially women who are kind of at the beginning of this, of like, it is so worth it. It has been a delight. And there have been hard moments, but I'm so proud of who I am in this world today.
Wow. That's so beautiful. So ultimately, it's all about expansion.
Expansion and integration.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. So, Brieanna, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on this podcast and sharing your incredible, incredible journey with us. And again, like I said, Brieanna is what's possible. Brieanna is what's possible. So I hope you've all been inspired by this podcast. And if you have, please subscribe and like, comment, do all the usual stuff that they do on podcasts. And share it. Share it with other women because I'm sure there are other women out there who would delight in hearing. Brianna's story might just be the permission that they need to do that courageous thing that they've been wanting to do. So please share this. And the third episode is going to drop on May 5th. Not sure what the title is, but it's coming. So Brianna, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me and for being you. I couldn't have done most of this without you. You're a delight and a gift.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I receive. All right.
All
So
right.
we are done. So bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
All right.